So Jack Smith went back to the grand jury to get a new indictment in the D.C. election interference case against Donald Trump. Now he brought superseding indictments today after the grand jury re-indicted Donald Trump on the same four charges stemming from all of his actions surrounding January 6th. Now, why did Jack Smith do this? Well, they went back to the grand jury with a different formula, basically because of the immunity ruling by the Supreme Court. They cut out sections of what they were alleging and tried to scope it around what the Supreme Court had ruled that was, this immunity thing. So they cut out parts where they talked about pressuring the DOJ and things like that. That might have fallen under that immunity ruling. And the grand jury still came back with four charges for Donald Trump. Now, Judge Tanya Chutkin is going to be looking at this. They have a filing deadline coming up for when they will look at how this case goes forward. There's going to be some hearings about how to proceed with this case, and she's going to set a timetable and things like that. But these superseding indictments, I believe, are going to replace the existing charges, but not change the scope of the case. I believe they had to do this to outline the new scope within that Supreme Court decision. But Donald Trump isn't taking it well. Of course, he's calling it election interference, saying the charges need to be dismissed immediately, saying Jack Smith was illegally appointed, citing Judge Cannon's ruling down in Florida, which has been appealed. But I don't think Donald Trump and his team are going to try to get Judge Tanya Chutkin to rule on whether or not Jack Smith is constitutionally appointed. Why? Because that would lead to two separate rulings from two different judges, and then when they get appealed, now you may have two conflicting appeal decisions coming out of two different jurisdictions, and that could lead to definitely getting it in front of the Supreme Court. And basically, Donald Trump doesn't really want that in front of the Supreme Court. He just wants Judge Cannon's decision in the Florida case to stand, so his charges go away. But this just shows Jack Smith is on the ball. They did reduce the number of pages in this indictment from 45 to 36. It does reflect the change in scope based on that immunity decision. So we'll see how it plays out. But Donald Trump once again got re-indicted. And one of the other things he's complaining about on his social media is that there's a DOJ policy to not do anything like this within 60 days of the election. Well, that's not the policy. The standing DOJ policy is to not do it around the election or to specifically interfere with the election. This case has been ongoing for almost 2 years. Donald Trump just keeps finding ways to delay this case and bring it closer and closer to the election. And as far as the 60-day mark that Donald Trump himself seems to think exists, well, you might remember the DOJ ignored that when Comey brought out the information about relooking back into Hillary Clinton with just weeks to go to the election. But beyond that, we are 69 days to the election, still outside of that 60-day window Donald Trump seems to believe exists.